afternoon, and thank you very much for such a warm welcome, and well done for making it to your seats so quickly, and welcome to the Summer Accelerator 2023 Showcase. I'm Raya Al-Salahi, and I am delighted to be your host for today's event, for what promises to be a really exciting showcase. 6 fantastic teams pitching to you today, and I'll talk you through some of them in just a moment's time. This is a demonstration of the innovation and entrepreneurial drive of Imperial College London's students and alumni. And the Summer Accelerator programme, for those of you that don't know, sees some of Imperial's best startups have their ideas boosted through development from mentorship to monthly grants to business coaching. Now, before I introduce you to the teams, I just want to ask you to join me in inviting Imperial College Business School's Vice Dean to say a few words. Please welcome to the stage Professor Marcus Perkman.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Should I give it a try again? Okay, welcome, everybody. I'm going to look forward to a very exciting evening, as I hope are you. There are going to be 6 teams tonight that will be presenting their business proposition that are the fruit of a program that lasted for 3 months over the summer. These 6 teams were chosen from 65 teams who apply, who were part of a wider number of hundreds of teams that we have annually here at Imperial of students working on entrepreneurial propositions. So to do the first thing is to thank all of the people who are involved, and obviously the teams themselves, but also we have a panel of mentors who have contributed to the progress that the teams made. Thank you to the mentors. There were also facilitators and coaches, and namely the business coach Peter Haycox, who sits here. Thank you very much for contributing to making these very, very promising propositions. Ewan Bell, you from the Enterprise Lab, you put this program together. You organized all of this behind the scenes. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank also Santander universities who are sponsoring this program. And so thanks very much to them. Now, this is an opportunity for you to see what student teams here at Imperial can produce. This is only one program amongst several and many that our students can participate in a co-curricular as well as extracurricular fashion. A lot of these activities are organized by the Enterprise Lab, so I'd like to acknowledge all of the Enterprise Lab's contribution in providing this. The Enterprise Lab is here for our students as well as early alums for when they want to develop any entrepreneurial innovation projects that they may have developed during their studies. So if you're new to Imperial this year, here you can get a taste of what's possible, and hopefully if this is stimulating and interests you, go and check out the Enterprise Lab, sign up to their communications, go there and you can hang out there and work there as well as go to the event. There are multiple things that you can participate in. Also, once your startup may be more advanced, we have the Imperial Venture Mentoring Service that is the mentoring service for the most advanced startups that we have here at Imperial, and we have a fund as well that takes submissions from the propositions from the teams that are working here at Imperial. Now, I don't want to hold you any longer. Thank you for coming, and I wish you an exciting evening.
Marcus, thank you very much indeed. Can I just ask, give me a wave at the back if you can hear everything okay. Are you able to hear me? Yeah, can you hear? Yes, you can. Good, okay. Before I briefly run you through the order of things this evening, can I just ask if you have your phone on and it's currently not on silent, please do just take this moment to switch it to silent so you don't disrupt the pictures this evening. Okay, let me just briefly run you through what you have to look forward to over the course of the next few hours. The teams that you will be hearing from this evening have all taken part in the Accelerator programme. And first up, we have AI-nit. Next, we have Newbond, then Wary Tech, followed by Inogen, and next, PapCup. And our final team is NEX Q. So those are the 6 teams who will be pitching to you in just a moment. And each team has a total of 5 minutes to pitch their innovation, and that will be followed by 4 minutes of audience questions. And during these pitches, you will see on the screen, either side of the stage here, the Mentimeter QR code. You can use your phone just to scan that QR code and submit any questions you might have to each team. And then following those pitches, we will ask you to join us for some networking drinks. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get on to the good stuff. Please put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to our first pitcher this evening representing AI-nit. It's Sophie.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sophie Richter, and I'm the founder and CEO of AI-nit, a revolutionary wearable startup from the UK. How many of you here today had at some point pain in your muscles or joints? Quite a few, and in fact, you are not alone. There are currently over 500 million people worldwide who suffer from arthritis conditions, and this number is expected to grow to 1.2 billion people by 2050. Through our market research, we identified that current devices to treat the condition, they look like that. They are clunky, they are not tailored to individuals' unique needs, and they are visually unappealing. They haven't seen any innovation since decades. By speaking to over 40 patients and clinicians across 20 clinics, we identified that there are 3 things that are needed in devices to treat the condition more efficiently. And those are tunable stiffness in the material, highly personalized bespoke fit, and programmable changes in structure and heat. And we have taken those 3 insights to develop AI-nit, the world's first patent-pending programmable hand support device. And we identified that by providing adaptive stiffness and support, tailor-made to each patient with highest level of comfort, we can generate much better treatment outcomes. Now, while this looks like a comfortable woolen glove, it is made of active computed knit structures and 3D printed elements that are adjustable to the patient's condition to provide the right amount of treatment at any given point in time. And this is how it works. We are able to provide adaptive support where the patient needs it with the glove, while allowing for flexibility and freedom of movement in the non-affected areas. We are currently working as well on personalized add-ons for increased structural support. And this is our workflow. We are first scanning the hand of the patient and feed this information into our bespoke software, where our AI-nit algorithm will compute the knit structure that is intended to heal the pain of the patient. Our device is manufactured using digital fabrication technologies such as 3D printing and 3D knitting. And even though our device is computationally generated, you can still throw it in a wash. You don't even need a delicate cycle. We are first planning to hit the hand support market in Europe worth £100 million to then roll out globally, but our vision is to design a range of wearable devices to treat other musculoskeletal conditions for a market worth £7 billion by 2030. Our competitor analysis shows that none of the competitors offer flexible and tailor-made solutions, and we want to establish AI-nit as a leader in this segment. We are first planning to sell to private clinics, registering the device as a medical device, then sell direct to consumers, and later on to NHS trusts. Our team and group of advisors include designers, scientists, and clinicians coming from the Royal College of Art, Imperial College London, and the NHS. I myself have a background in material and healthcare design, having worked 11 years in industry before founding AI-nit. So AI-nit is a young company, but we have made a lot of progress so far. We have received our first grant funding in July last year through the MedTech Superconnector program, which helped us building our first small team, with which we developed our first material prototypes and established relationships with patients and clinicians as well. We then received further grant funding, with which we developed our first prototypes, for which we are currently filing our IP. We have been part of several startup programs which have helped us develop AI-nit into the stage where it is now. And we have received as well a lot of positive interest from patients and clinicians who are interested in trialing our device and testing it and adding it to their procurement catalog. And now to take us to the next level, we are looking for £500,000. That would give us a runway of 18 months to complete our patent application by December this year, have an MVP developed by July next year, having relationships with clinical stakeholders established, as well as our first clinical trial round completed next year. So pain is personal to everyone. And at AI-nit, we believe that the devices that treat it should be too. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That brings us on to the opportunity for you to ask any questions you might have. Well done, Sophie, for a brilliant first pitch. Let's start off with one we've already had in, which is around the image scan that you use to create algorithms. Tell us more about that process and who takes part in creating that database.
So the scan can be done either at home alone through a normal app that are available right now. So if it's like sold directly to patient, the patient can just do different pictures, and then through photogrammetry, the pictures will create the 3D model, which will then be fed on back into our software, and our software will calculate the NIT structures based on that scan that was given. The other version would be if it would be through the private clinics. The private clinics would have the tools to do the scan themselves at the clinic. So these are two ways at which we are looking at.
Can I just ask, if you've just joined us, please to keep the noise down, that would be great. We had a question in asking who your top competitors are.
So there are competitors, but none of them do really the same thing. So they're the classic known ones like Ottobock or Tuasna, Promedics. They all offer these standard compression gloves and thumb support devices.
Another question from the audience asks, what is the exact material that you use to produce the AI-nit and that's able to be 3D printed?
Okay, so we are using conventional 3D knitting, but we are developing a process that is very unique in terms of making that knit adaptive in the way in which we are combining yarns and the knit structure itself. We are also looking at yarns that are sort of adaptive based on different triggers. And in terms of 3D printing, we are using conventional 3D printers, but look at the structures that are designed in a way to give us that change of stiffness and support in the way we want to have it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another question comes in asking, for AI-nit, what are the clinical outcomes you'll measure in clinical trials? Is it pain, disease progression rate?
Yeah, so we want to, one of the measurements we want to do is like to see how can we reduce pain. That is the first thing. That with the change in compression levels, can we treat pain in a better and quicker way? That is number one. We want to see how can we improve range of motion, grip, and as well just general hand function for an arthritis patient in the beginning.
And then another question asks about the process in which you create gloves. How long is it from scanning to printing?
From scanning to printing. Scanning is fairly easy. It's just a few pictures. We send it back like to our provider who will generate the 3D model. That is all done within 1 day. And then we feed it back into our software. The software will calculate it, and then we're going to print and knit it. And maybe the whole process could be like a couple of days, like 3-4 days until it's ready.
Mm-hmm. And how about the end of life for the product? What does that look like? Can it be recycled?
Yes, it can. So the glove is designed to be modular, and I think that's one of the USPs as well. So there will be a textile device which can be totally recycled. We're also planning to use sustainable materials which are recyclable, and then the 3D elements are attachable elements that can be recycled individually. And the idea of the modular glove is as well that the lifespan in general is like much longer. So we're looking at long-term treatment where you can always plug in different elements that you would need at that certain amount of time or at your treatment progress. So the device is generally can be used over a long time. And as the textile glove is a textile, we can wash it. So that has also is a big benefit to what exists right now as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and just time for one last question briefly. When a patient's needs change, how can your product be adjusted, or the patient, would they need a new product?
Yes, so the patient can adjust the glove by just pulling the glove itself and adjust the stiffnesses levels where he or she needs it. And the attachments that are 3D printed can be manufactured always anew if that person wants it. So there is a range of stiffness levels that are already programmed into the device, but if you would need it to be more stiff or a bit softer, then we can print a new one and just attach it to the glove, and you would have a new concept whenever you need it.
Brilliant, that brings us to time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.
And before we move on to the next team, just a reminder that if you do want to get any questions in and we run out of time, all of the teams will be in the networking session. They have stations set out in the foyer so you can speak to them directly. That brings us on to our second pitch of the evening. If you're just joining us, welcome. Please do try and keep the noise down as much as possible as you join the room to avoid disruption. Please welcome to the stage, representing Newbond, Patrick.
Hello everyone, I'm really excited to be here. I'm Patrick Sagastaki. I'm CTO and co-founder of Newbond, and we want to revolutionize the existing paradigm in stroke rehabilitation. Every 3 seconds, a life is forever altered by stroke. And this is the third leading cause of disability worldwide. And within these patients, 60% of them fail to receive the minimum therapy dose, affecting their quality of life and limiting the self-independence. And this creates a major economic impact in the NHS, being £45,000 per patient annually. Home rehabilitation devices have emerged to solve this situation, but many face similar challenges, as using a dedicated therapy time to do this procedure, which creates a difficulty on the continuation, as the patient needs to sit down in front of a screen and do repetitive movements consuming their time. Also, they have a poor monitoring recovery. They only track when they're using the device. But outside of that, they are blind to know how much is the movement of this limb in their daily activities. And this creates gaps in the tracking data. And they only cover partial muscle groups. Normally, they go for hand rehabilitation. But in reality, strokes affects to more muscles in the body. And this creates a limitation in the daily activities that the patients can recover. That's why in Newbond, we want to revolutionize this paradigm by presenting a device that can connect directly with your body and seamlessly deliver the therapy anytime and anywhere, and to empower the patient's daily living by leveraging all the therapy to the device so the patient can continue reading or drinking a cup of tea. At Newbond, this is how we plan to overcome these home rehabilitation barriers with this device that we have developed with the inputs of clinicians and patients in order to tackle the existing rehabilitation challenges and being able to offer a device that can be integrated in daily life and be used during the whole day and can target all the muscles being affected after a stroke. And on top of that, we will have a mobile app in order to tackle the poor monitoring and be able to offer an all-day biomarker tracking. So we will know the true recovery of these patients. And more importantly, use this data, the history of the data, in order to provide exercise feedback and reminders, and also provide community support from the clinicians to the patients directly, or connect patients and another patients in the same situation. So we can have our patients motivated from the day one during the whole rehabilitation journey. By having these three main aspects, continuous rehabilitation, targeting all the muscle groups, and have an all-day biomarker monitoring, we're able to differentiate from the competitor and address all the core stroke rehabilitation problems. And from this overall market of £1.2 billion, we expect to have at least a 60 million piece. And our journey will start in the UK to leverage our existing clinical connections and start with pilot studies. And we will start then in the vast US market. But more importantly, this is not only applicable to stroke patients, but to any patient that has neurological conditions and their mobility are being affected. This indicates a great market growth opportunity. And our ultimate goal is to be able to distribute this device by the NHS. But in order to have a viable route to the market, we are first creating collaborations with private health distributors. And then we want to go to private clinics to ultimately create the fundamental base for a direct-to-customer model, and be able to offer this to the patients. We have a strong team with strong knowledge in rehabilitation technologies, and we're able to translate research into practical applications. We're at a foundation stage and using a research grant in order to elaborate our first prototypes. And we have established collaborations with Charing Cross Hospital to start up pilot studies by the end of the year. And for next year, we're seeking to raise £800,000 of investment in order to start our clinical trials in hospital and home settings. By the end of the year, be able to start to clarify our regulatory pathway. In New Bond, we are not only aiming to be in the frontier of rehabilitation technologies. Our commitment goes beyond that. It's about enhancing the quality of life of the patients, promoting an active lifestyle, and empowering the patient's daily life. Thank you very much.
Very well done to you, Patrick, and we'd like to welcome the rest of your team to join us on stage now. If I could ask you to come to the centre so that you can be seen by everyone. Okay, time for questions. Scan the QR code to submit yours to the team, and let's kick off with one about your plans for product testing. Talk us through where you are with product testing.
So product testing, we've been developing this device for 2 years already. We've been doing it with healthy subjects, and now what we're expecting to do, we've been having some patient involvement. So we want to see how is the reception and how the patients feel to wear this device for a long period of time. What we're working right now is to make this device to be as comfortable as possible. We're experimenting with more different shapes and new materials in order to make this device as comfortable as possible.
Okay. A question in about the response you've had from users trying the product. What do they need in the way of training? Do they need training to use the device?
Ideally, no. So we are in the phase that we're collecting all the data that we need in order to be able to, at the end, this is a therapy. So we need to be able to produce this therapy in a seamless way, because at the end, this type of patients, they cannot spend the time trying to understand how to configure the device. So we're expecting to, from these pilot studies, to be able to collect this data and have like an automatic calibration of the device. Mm-hmm. But at the end, when we need to run up clinical trials, the device is ready to go, so the patients they don't need to think about it.
Yeah, okay. Another question in asks about whether you have any early adopters on board already.
Not at the moment. We are going to have this patient involvement. So basically, we're going to go to private clinics. And when they're doing some rehabilitation process, they're going to be trying the device in the background, because at the end, the idea is that the device is working in the background while they're doing any kind of activities. And that's when we're going to start to collect all this data.
Okay. Another question in ask whether this is a lifestyle product. Is it like an Apple Watch, for example, or does a patient only use it when needed?
This is a really interesting question. At the end, it's a device, and if you think it's something that we wear, so ultimately a patient or anyone wants to create a special connection between the device and yourself. It's representing who you are, even if it's in a color or something, so we will have that completely in mind.
Okay. And how about when it comes to benchmarking and testing? What have you done with other devices with recovery patients, asks one member of the audience.
So what we've been doing, it's, I don't know if you're familiar with stroke. What it happens is that we lose mobility because some connections in the brain are being lost. So the phase 1 is to detect this minor type of activity to be able to determine if the patient is trying to move. And we've been doing that already with another set of patients, spinal cord injury patients, which is a worse category, let's say, or more challenging category, because the connection is completely broken. But even in those complex scenarios, we were able to still get this information for provided therapy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you aim for this device to fully substitute traditional rehabilitation? Is that the aim?
Not completely to substitute, but to complement. At the end, our goal is not to remove clinicians from the hospitals, but in this way, we were able to enhance and make a speed and increase of the rehabilitation process.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about the current status of the product with its IP strategy? You did mention your IP in the pitch, but where are we at with that?
Yes, so we started a licensing with the partnership on, with Imperial College, because at the end they own the patents. but we identified several claims that we can use for our patent, and we expected to have it ready by next year, by March.
That brings us to time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very well done to Team Newbond, and just a reminder, if you have further questions that you'd like to ask, all of the teams will be in the networking session at the end of the picture, so you can join them then. Okay, that brings us on to our third picture of the evening. If you are just joining us, please do try and take a seat as quietly as possible to avoid disrupting the pitch. Representing Team Veritech, please welcome to the stage, Shreyas.
So my name's Shreyas. Welcome to my presentation about Veritech, a wearable ECG product. In 2019, cyclist Alex Jones's life was tragically cut short due to him contracting a virus in his heart, which affected his cardiac ability. This was shocking for both his family and amateur and professional athletes across the UK. He had no family history of any heart conditions. Alex's death was caused by sudden cardiac death, which accounts for 20% of all global deaths. And 1 in 18,000 cyclists die each year from this. Alex could have been saved by a simple ECG scan to diagnose his condition. However, ECG scans are not so simple. They require cumbersome equipment and specialist training to set up, and it often takes more time to set the machine up than to actually get a reading. At Veritech, we were developing a wearable ECG vest that can continuously monitor your heart rate and ECG and update to the Veritech app to detect if any abnormal heart conditions are detected. This will be complemented with an AI which will help predict any future events that will occur. Our electrodes are washable, reusable, and pain-free. Our novel carbon-based electrodes are made from 3D printed material using a proprietary method. And Paul Drechsler, the president of the Society of Chemical Industry, says these are a huge improvement on electrodes. So no more hair removal, painful hair removal. The market size for the wearable tech market is huge globally, $72 billion. And of that, $367 million is the e-textile market share, what we're looking to penetrate. So here's a case. Got Darren, he's 58, he cycles, lives in Whitney, he's got a disposable income, he goes cycling 3 times a week with his cycling club friends. However, he has some health concerns. He's not as fit as he used to be, and he's worried about his heart health. This is the target market that we're aiming for. So we have, at Veritech, we have a simple business model, just like Darren would like. We can purchase the shirt for $2.99 online, and we can also distribute B2C through cycling clubs. We'll also have the app, which tracks your heart health and performance, and can update you on how you're progressing and any changes for $10.99 a month. We can also integrate with Strava, Apple Health, and Common Health for an additional $4.99 a month. Veritech lies in between all these devices, where sticky electrodes are the gold standard currently, but they are single-use, wasteful, and disposable. Veritech lies in between the accuracy of the sticky electrode and the accuracy of the Aura ring, with good accuracy and minimal inconvenience. Throughout the process, we've been working with fashion designers to ensure that the garment is comfortable and stylish. So here's the back end of our prototype. We've gathered some information, which positive results. And we've also demonstrated our prototype to a number of industry and medical experts that are really enthusiastic about our product. Co-founders, it's myself, Shreyas, and Owen Griffiths, who's got an experience in working in Abbott and is currently working at Imperial. I've got experience in medicine, chemistry, and computer science. We've also got a couple of our CMO, our fashion designer, our sports advisor, and our data scientist, and our board of advisors, Tony Cass and Gregory Quinlan. And we're also looking to grow the team further. So this is our timeline. We've currently gathered £2,000 to make the prototype, £10,000 additionally at the CEC then by the chemistry department. We're looking for £1.67 million for 12% equity to develop our MVP and outsource our production and test and do a tour of Britain before launching our massive product launch. Veritech, health redefined. That's it.
Well done, Shreyas. And I'm sad that you haven't left your album cover photo on the screen as we're talking to other questions. Your album cover photo that should be up there. But anyway, listen, well done. Yeah, maybe we can go to that and we can carry on looking at that.
Yeah.
Do get your questions in now by scanning the code. I'm eating into your question Q&A time, so let's get on with it. Questions coming in just a moment. Let me start with one about why you've chosen the specific sport you talked about and the customer that you profiled in your pitch. Tell us about that.
Cyclists tend to spend a lot of money on their equipment. Their bicycles are expensive, like carbon fiber lightweight. They'll spend like thousands of pounds on their bikes and wheels and all the other accessories that accompany it. So that's why we chose that as the initial target market.
Yeah. And how about the customer that you profiled in the pitch? Why did you go with them?
Someone that's taken a bit of time out of their routine and wants to get healthier, it's been a bit sedentary and wants to improve their overall health and fitness. And they're concerned about their heart health.
Yeah, okay. First question in from the audience. Is Veritech designed for everyone to wear, or is it specifically targeting athletes? Do you envision a world where people would wear this day to day?
Yeah, they could wear it day to day. It's possible. If you're worried about any kind of arrhythmias or heart conditions, abnormal heartbeats, it could be worn day to day, but currently we're aiming it to athletes.
Mm-hmm. What is the differentiator from other devices which currently monitor heart rates? We're thinking of Apple Watches, of Fitbits, that sort of thing.
So the Apple Watch and Fitbits, they measure your heart rate, but not your heart rhythm, which is the electrocardiogram. So our shirt will give the actual heartbeat and show that if there's any irregularities between your heart beating.
Okay, and leading on from that, another question asks whether you've done any market research as to customers' demands for your product over the likes of the Garmin watch, which has the ECG functionality.
Yeah. It does, but however, it's a single reading, it's not a continuous reading, so you have to hold your fingers on 2 electrodes on the watch to get the reading, and you have to wait about 60 seconds for it to give you a ECG result.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a quicker way of doing that.
Yeah.
For the electrode material, why do you think 3D printing with higher costs is necessary, asks one member of the audience.
We've developed a novel polymer with 3D printing that's conductive and adheres to the skin nicely, so that's what we're doing. But eventually we could use other design processes like injection molding or make bespoke electrodes later down the line.
Mm-hmm. How does Veritech support the patient if the ECG detects an abnormality?
It alerts them to the app or a notification on the smartwatch if they have one.
Another question is around the UCP of your device. How is your price justified? One could simply purchase an Apple Watch, which also, this audience member says, captures ECG and pay only a cheap one-time payment compared to your subscription model.
Well, the Apple Watch is so inaccurate compared to our shirt that it can tell the time, but you can't tell your ECG as good as our shirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's more effective in its functionality.
Yeah.
How sensitive is the equipment? What's its range? Can it detect other heart abnormalities apart from arrhythmias?
Yeah, you can atrial fibrillation, ventricular fibrillation, any kind of irregular heartbeat, like atrial flutter, that kind of thing.
Okay. That brings us to time. Thank you very much indeed. Well done. Okay, that brings us on to our fourth pitch of the...
Sorry.
Nope, that one. There you go.
The electrodes.
Oh, well, there you go. That does bring us on to the fourth pitch of this evening. If you are just joining us again, please do take your seat as quietly as possible to avoid causing any disruption. And if there are spaces currently where you're sitting, please do budge along to enable more people to get a seat. Okay, let's move on to our fourth pitch of the evening. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our next pitcher representing Inogen. Please welcome to the stage, Howard.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Howard from Inogen. Billions of the patients with erectile dysfunction, hair loss, sport injury, and others are looking for a treatment called platelet-rich plasma, PRP, to regenerate their damaged tissue. This cutting-edge treatment is in high demand with over 30 billion global market size and has been widely used in many medical treatments, especially in hair loss treatment. However, PRP is facing a challenge during the preparations process. So what is PRP? PRP is a treatment that involves taking a small amount from the patient's blood, separating outside the platelets, reintroduce back to the body to simulate healing and the regeneration. However, PRP is facing a challenge during the preparation process with the low safety and efficacy, leading to the poor treatment outcome. Inogen can meet this challenge by offering an automated platelet-rich plasma preparation system. Precise separation, automated activation, and one-click preparations will be the top three our Inogen's product features. With our unique biosensor, no more by-hand separations, because Inogen can separate up to 99% high concentrations of the pure PRP to reduce the contaminant and the side effect rates. Also, Inogen can activate platelets to release up to 25 times more regenerative factor to support patients to repair faster. Now, clinic can prepare PRP with just one click by cutting 8 steps of complex PRP preparation process into only 3 steps, significantly enhance the clinic's efficacy and the treatment outcomes. Compared to the other PRP preparation system, Inogen is more convenient and high efficacy for both doctors and patients. We have interviewed over 200 medical professionals and get insight from them to develop our business. The market size for Inogen is incredible. The global regeneration market is about 30 million pounds market size, and including regenerate erectile dysfunction, sport injury, hair loss, and other disease. At the early stage, we will focus on the hair loss markets because it is the biggest market with the global 5 billion pounds global market size. And also, most of the private clinic in our interview has already provided PRP. We will target the 400 private hair loss clinic in the UK, specifically in London. 10 over 200 private hair loss clinic will be our early adopter. And they already provide the PRP and show the eagerness to adopt a new PRP preparation system. For our early adopter, we deliver a strategy B2B approach, position ourselves as a trust provider of the PRP preparation system. We have a diverse team, contain 2 technology experts, myself and Benjamin, and 2 business professionals, Catherine and Vincent, all from world-class university, Imperial, LSE, and the UCL. In this year, we joined several startup competitions and programs and raised over 4 £4,000 grant to support us to complete like, the market research and develop successfully our first part of like, the prototype. For the next step, Inogen need to raise £200,000 to support us to file the patent, complete MVP, and the QMS test to entering like, the clinical trial next year. So, are you guys already be a part of like, the innovative regeneration? Join Inogen today. Thank you.
Very well done to you, Howard, and I'd like to invite the rest of your team to join us on stage for the Q&A now. And I'll shift over so that you can take centre stage. Please do scan the QR code up on the screen to submit your questions. And let's kick off with one about your pitch. You mentioned that this process can be applied in a whole range of different ways. Yeah. So what made you choose hair transplants?
Yeah, so we have like the source of like the we have like, a lot of the source in hair loss, and also in our interview, like the most like the insight from them is like the hair loss is like the biggest market, and most of like the clinics already adopt like the PRP treatment. So this will give us like a big chance to get into like hair loss market.
Okay, and it's a market which has, of course, huge supplements across many shops. One audience member asks how PRP compares with the likes of biotin and keratin supplements.
Well, compared to like biotin and I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with the biotin and the keratin. But like the PRP is like the kind of like the regeneration treatment, similar with like the stem cells, exosome, like the regeneration treatment. And PRP will activate like the platelets to release like the growth factor to support patient to repair.
Okay. One question asks about your development process. Talk us through that.
Yeah.
So yes, we have like 3 steps of developing our products that we want to combine all the steps that's in the traditional PRP process. So the first step we have completed is through the centrifuge to a biosensor. So the biosensors can divide the red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. So after that, we will do the activate part to activate our platelets to improve their treatment outcome, and that will be our next step.
Okay. And how about your plans to perform clinical trials? How do you plan to do that?
So for the clinical trial, for our device will be like the class 2, and between class 1 and class 2. So we will decide our clinical trial just only like to test is as the outcome for preparing like the prostate or PRP. So we only need to like the phase 1 test to get like the approval that our machines can fully function and produce like the PRP and the high concentrations of like the growth factor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are your containers within the machine one-time use? And if yes, how will you ensure it will be sustainable? How will you make it sustainable?
So similar with other syringes and tubes, that's because the patient is different and contains the blood. So in order to prevent the contamination risk, the tubes itself will be used one time. And similar with the medical other device, our product material itself will choose the sustainable providers and hope to make us more sustainably.
A question in about your B2B approach rather than a B2C marketing strategy. Is it more of that?
For the market strategy itself, because the PRP treatment need to use by the medical professional and the doctors, so that we can't sell to the customer itself.
Okay, understandable. Tell us about your competitors. Who are your top competitors?
Our top competitors have been shown on the slides before. Is the Angels, which provided by the Asterix, that it already can separate the PRP itself from the machine. However, the process itself didn't do a lot of activated process. So our treatment outcomes will be estimated higher than them.
Okay. How much money can your device save a clinic per treatment?
For like the treatment for like the clinic, this is a really good question. So we can save like the time for the clinic about 50% like the time cost for them, but it should depend on like the clinical trainer for like the clinic, how many trainer did they have apply. So basically, if it's like the basic salary about trainer will be 40K in a year, but depend on how many employees did they have.
Okay, that brings us to time. Thank you very much indeed. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us on to our penultimate picture of the evening. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our fifth pitch of today, representing PAPCUP. Please welcome to the stage, Sanziana.
I had my first smear test around about 2 years ago. And the way that goes is that you get a letter in the mail from your GP, you go to the practice, and then you get naked from the waist down, and you allow a complete stranger to collect the sample from your vagina. And it's embarrassing, it's uncomfortable, it's often painful. So there's no wonder that a lot of women skip their appointments. In fact, of the 5 million women that were eligible for a smear test last year, a third did not attend. And this means that of all the GP practices in the country, 95% currently do not meet the national target for cervical screening. And whilst the NHS is currently spending about £180 million a year on cervical cancer, this can go as high as £3 billion a year if the rates continue to fall. Now, what's unique about cervical cancer is that it's caused by a virus called HPV. And if we can manage to detect this, we can prevent most of the cases of cervical cancer. And this is where PopCup comes in. PopCup is the first app-enabled HPV-detecting biosensor that uses menstrual blood as a sample. So it goes around all the uncomfortable and invasive bits. And it's capable of taking the convoluted process that the smear test is and turn it into something much more streamlined and straightforward, whilst addressing the two main pain points of smear testing, which are the adherence and the cost to the NHS, and for the patient, the invasiveness of the pelvic exam and the use of the speculum, which we completely eliminate. We plan to penetrate the cervical screening market in the UK first, and then move on to the global cervical screening market. But our technology is easily applicable to other STDs, so we also plan to enter the STD diagnostic market in the UK, and importantly, the one in the US, which is valued at about £9 billion a year. These markets are all expected to grow by at least 5% by 2027. So we plan to start here in the UK in a B2B fashion. We're keeping it free for women, and we're charging the NHS. And whilst making a revenue, we are able to save the NHS about 30% of what they're currently spending on smear testing. We will then move on to the US in a B2C fashion, and from there on, globally. And especially, we're excited to collaborate with governments where there are no national cervical screening programs in place, and cervical cancer is a real burden to society. Now, there are other startups which are trying to innovate this space, but there are none which, like PopCup, can combine the non-invasiveness of the test with clinical accuracy, and importantly, the at-home self-collection part with on-site analysis, meaning that most of them will ask you to mail your sample away to a lab so they can test it for you. We've received a lot of interest in our customer interviews, both with patients and with NHS staff, and through our customer validation experiment on social media, where we saw conversion rates that were as high as 4 times the industry average. We've also won the Hackstarter with our proof of concept, and we were We Innovate semi-finalists earlier this year. Our team consists in myself as the founder and CEO, and 2 other incredible women working on this, Nausika, our head of product development, and Shulin, our head of biosensing. And we are working with 2 amazing advisors, Ruben, who co-founded and was the CEO of a medical device company, and Juliana, our marketing advisor. We have so far amassed £10,000 in prize and grant funding, and we have developed a proof of concept. Our next step is to raise £15,000 so we can pay our patent fees. And by next year, we plan that we will have a fully working MVP that we use in pilot programs, and that we will have raised about £200,000. So we can move on to the next step, which is preclinical studies and further customer testing that will prepare us for our first round of seed funding. With about £3 million, we can pay for the clinical trials that will enable us to regulate our device and to register it as a Class 2 medical device. By 2026, we plan to place PopCup on the market. Now, we are very passionate people here at PopCup, and we ask that you too join us on our journey to end cervical cancer. Please follow us on LinkedIn and keep an eye on our website at popcup.co.uk. Thank you.
Well done. Brilliant pitch. Okay, time for the Q&A. And again, a reminder, all you need to do is scan the QR code on the screens either side of the stage to submit your question. Santiana, let's kick off with one about the work you've done currently on product development. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've fully developed our biosensor. So we've tested that in the lab with HPV DNA sequences. And we've also developed a prototype. And we're at the stage where we have to essentially finish up our MVP, put everything together so that it can be tested on the field.
Okay. One audience member asks, how does the startup target people of older ages where the disease is perhaps more common, given that most women have had menopause already at that age?
Yeah, so we spoke with a lot of women, and what came up was that women who have gone through pregnancy or multiple smear tests in their lives, they're not as reluctant as younger women to go through what we call the invasive part of the procedure, which is the vaginal insertion of the speculum in the sample collection. So PopCup is also compatible with a cervical swab, which means that even women who are not menstruating, be them on contraceptives or at menopause, they can still use the device. And they can enjoy the better way it integrates with their lives and the ease of access that it offers compared to the smear test.
Mm-hmm. How about its accuracy when you compare it to the current methods out there?
Yeah, so the gold standard for HPV detection is PCR testing, and the lower limit of detection of that is about 100 copies of HPV per microgram. We have been able to achieve that already, and basically we have competing accuracy with that of the gold standard, but it's more easy to use and more user-friendly.
Yeah, well, on that point, how do you ensure that the samples you're getting are valid, they're collected in a manner that's safe by the users?
Yeah, so to a certain point, it kind of works like a COVID test in that you collect a sample of menstrual blood with, say, a swab, and there is a component of the device. So the device is kind of the size of my fist, and it has a slot where you can insert a sample. The slot that you inserted it is completely, it's disposable. So it's something that we put in there so that we ensure that it's reusable without cross-contaminating other samples. And essentially, yeah, you just put it in the device and it minimizes contamination, and it's very, very easy for users.
How would GP surgeries perhaps benefit from PopCup?
Yeah, so actually, GP surgeries are taxed in a way by the NHS for not meeting their screening rates, the national target, shall we say. And it's a point-based system where they get more funding if their rates are higher. So by bumping up the adherence to cervical screening, by giving women something easier to use and more comfortable, we hope to create incentive for the GP surgeries to go for PopCup rather than the smear test.
What would you charge the NHS per user, asks one audience member.
Yeah, so we actually have a different pricing system. We're charging each GP surgery about £3,000 a year for unlimited tests. So the way PopCup works is that you have one device which can then perform an unlimited number of tests, essentially. It works with disposable testing cartridges, and within that cost, we are supplying an unlimited number. So I was saying that we would charge them about £3,000. They're currently spending over £10,000 on smear testing on average. So we would save them about 30% of their costs.
Brilliant. That brings us to time. Santiana, thank you very much indeed. And again, a reminder, all of the teams pitching today will be in the foyer when we've finished with the pitching session for the networking event. If you have questions that we haven't been able to get to within the time limit, please do meet with the teams and ask them directly. That brings us on to the final pitcher of this evening. Please give a very warm welcome to representing NEX Q, Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ash. I'm CEO and co-founder of NEX Q. And at NEX Q, we're developing the next generation of technology for infection control. Let me introduce you to Meredith. At 19, Meredith was diagnosed with cancer. After going to hospital and going through a successful round of chemotherapy, Meredith was treated. But through going to hospital, Meredith acquired what we call a superbug. Meredith's superbug was resistant to every known antibiotic, and unfortunately, Meredith passed away. Meredith is just one of many. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody goes into hospital to get sick. But on any given day, up to 1 in every 15 patients has a healthcare-acquired infection. This means that every year, it costs the UK's NHS £2.7 billion. It's a massive burden. It's primarily driven by the inability of clinicians to control transmission in hospital of infectious diseases. I started my PhD 4 years ago to work specifically on this problem. And I'm proud to present to you NEX Q, and we're here to predict outbreaks, prevent infections, and save lives. We've developed an innovative algorithmic support system which enables guided interventions to patients at risk of transmission such that we can provide precision clinical interventions to stop transmission in its tracks. We've already developed a prototype algorithm and a dashboard that visualizes this to users. And for international customer discovery, we've developed our full workflow. We connect to hospital EHRs, we use proprietary algorithms that assign risk scores to patients, and we interface this information to clinicians such that they can make the right actions. Importantly, all of this has already been internationally validated. We peer-reviewed our scientific clinical trial in the Lancet Digital Health, where we partnered with Imperial College and hospitals all over the world. Now, we've worked with Imperial College and healthcare economists here to validate the cost savings. For a trust like Imperial, this would lead to £1.3 million saved every single year. In Thailand, where the burden of infection is even higher, we also report significant cost savings. Now, our business model, we're SaaS, but we'll be giving this out as a tiered system. Our base package covers regular workflow activities that could be supported by our system. We also offer additional support packages, including our AI support system, which is our primary source of revenue. Now, this enables hospitals to connect to us via an API, but we also offer our solution as a local instance to be run, which preserves patient information and data security in particular locations. Now, from our market discovery, we know there is a significant market for this. Worldwide, the TAM for this technology in hospitals alone is £7 billion. But the moment the next disease scare happens, this will increase by orders of magnitude. We do have competitors, but we differentiate ourselves by our ability to interface predictive analytics that moves hospitals from purely reacting to diseases to proactively preventing them. Now, over the past year, I've assembled a team. I'm a PhD in this space, but also have a background in finance, having worked in previous medtech spinouts, supported by my partner, Rob, our CTO, who's an expert in machine learning, clinical lead, Chang, who is a PhD at Oxford, and we're also supported by our development team, Sang, full stack developer, and Rose, product designer. We also have expert advisors in this space, and we're lucky to have key clinical collaborators here at Imperial College. Now, we've been moving fast. Over the past year, we have an IP release from Imperial College, and we've developed our first prototype. This has all been supported by over 100K in funding that we've had so far. Next, we're looking to raise our pre-seed round, 560K. This will allow us to release a beta prototype, integrate it into 2 EHRs, run POCs, and achieve the regulatory requirements for our medical device, which is a Class 1 system. Next, we'll be looking to raise our seed round, which will enable us to secure a beachhead. My ask today, ladies and gentlemen, is to be connected with like-minded individuals that share in our vision of keeping hospitals safe and preventing the most resistant infections. Thank you.
Ashley, thank you very much indeed for that pitch. Time for the Q&A now, and let's kick off with one about where you're currently at when it comes to the biggest challenges you're facing in the development of NEX Q.
The
biggest challenges you're facing when it comes to the development of NEX Q.
Yeah, so I mean, clinical testing. We need funding primarily to achieve the regulatory requirements of our device and partner and run initial clinical studies. So yeah, the funding requirements are the biggest one. So if anyone knows any investors, please shoot them my way.
I'm going to shift over a little bit so you can go centre stage so people can see you better. But a question from the audience: what interventions would your system recommend once patients of high vulnerability are identified?
So it's primarily the regular infection control interventions, which could be putting people inside rooms, making people wear gowns, enforcing greater levels of hand hygiene, and these are standard around the world, these kind of interventions.
Another question asks, your system works on an assumption that the hospital provides clean and accurate data. How do you ensure that you can mitigate the problem of data validation?
It's not an assumption, because we're using the system to predict future events. If we can predict those future events with this data, then our system is valid.
Yeah, okay. What trusts and hence clinicians could get access to NEX Q? Will paramedics, for example, attending to patients be able to access the information before they arrive?
So every hospital, it has a team of infection prevention and control practitioners. We're primarily selling it to them, and they will be our users, but they will be able to communicate with people on the wards that actually put people inside rooms or enforce other kinds of IPC interventions.
What are your data sources and how do you get these inputs, asks one member of the audience.
So it's just the EHR system. There's different tables, these slightly different between different sites, but we just connect to them, via API. We run it on the intranet of a hospital.
Okay. What's your regulatory approval plan and how are you planning to collect clinical data to get to certification?
Yeah, so we are a Class 1 medical device in the UK. All this really means is we need to do retrospective studies. We've kind of already done that, but we want to show greater generalizability. So part of the funding would be collecting additional data from a more diverse set of hospitals in the UK.
Which EHRs are you looking to integrate with, asks one audience member.
Any that will have us. So at Imperial, they use Cerner. Epic is probably the one which we would like to work with at the moment because it's growing, and we would like to scale with them if we could. But some hospitals, they have their own, self-made EHRs that we're also trying to account for with our system.
Okay, so you're not picky.
No.
Final question asks about with so much data that you require, what protections need to be in place to handle it all?
Yeah, so this is why we offer a local instance of our system. So if we implement it locally on the intranet of an NHS trust in question, we don't see the data, we don't touch it, and it's fully compliant with their their local compliance.
Okay. Another question asks about data management systems. Which one you use and how do you plan to scale when there's higher traffic?
So if we're using APIs, we're just using AWS. But if it's run on the intranet, this would be a local instance that's put in one hospital. So we would just, give that out to other hospitals to use as well.
Okay, that brings us to time. Well done. Thank you very much. Well done to all of the teams pitching this evening. It's not an easy thing to do, and they've all done a fantastic job. So you've heard from all of the Summer Accelerator teams now with their really excellent pitches. I'm sure you'll agree. And before we finish up and move on to networking, I'd like to hand over to the Enterprise Lab's head, Sarah Ranchov-Hale, for our final closing remarks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ray. And first of all, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to our startups for pitching this evening. It is incredibly nerve-wracking to stand up in front of 200 plus people without notes, unlike me. So can we give them another round of applause just to say well done? It's especially inspiring for me and the rest of the team to see the progression of the teams throughout programs such as this. So we're really, really proud of you this evening, and we can't wait to see what you achieve in the future. I just wanted to take a brief moment to highlight some of the work that the Enterprise Lab does. But before I do that, the students and alumni in the room, can I get a show of hands if you have been down to the Enterprise Lab? Wow, okay, that's fantastic. For those of you that didn't put your hand up, please come down to the Sherfield building. We're in the basement. We'd love to see you. Come and find out more about what's on offer. There's some fantastic staff who are based down there, and we'd love to help you and discuss with you how we can support you in the future. So I know there's a number of new students in here today, so I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview about who we are at the Enterprise Lab. So we're the college's dedicated centre for innovation and entrepreneurship, and it's open to students, recent alumni, and early career researchers. So as I said, come down and speak with us if you want to find out more. There is a whole load of resources that we have available for you, including introductory workshops, community social events, cohort-based programs such as this one, ideas surgeries, and much, much more. Over the course of the next calendar year, we have a number of fantastic events that are open for you to register. There will be a QR code, I believe, coming up for you now. Just to highlight a couple of those, for those of you who are at an early stage, we have a workshop on the 31st of October, which is focusing on finding your customers. So the wonderful Camille will talk you through how to do that at an early stage, so please do register if you're interested. For those of you who are interested in applying to our programs, we have an online session that will talk you through how to make your application stand out to our programs. So again, please join us for that if you're interested in applying for a program such as this. On the 8th of November, for those of you who don't yet have a business idea, we're running a fantastic session. It's called Idea Challenge, and that will focus on generating and choosing strong business ideas. This coming November, we're focusing on the dark side of digital data and AI. So please do register for that. We sold out when we ran this program in May. So be quick if you want to join us for that one. And finally, we have a Community Collider, which is a social event happening in December. We have a Christmas-themed one this year. So again, sign up if you want to come along. As well as the Summer Accelerator, which we're celebrating tonight, we also run two other programs, the Venture Catalyst Challenge and the We Innovate program, which are both open for applications right now. These run over the course of spring and summer and are designed to take early stage business ideas and boost their development. We also have a pretty hefty prize fund for both those programs. £130,000 is up for grabs. We Innovate is our program for women-led teams with an early-stage business idea, and VCC is for slightly more developed ideas that are looking at getting closer to being investment-ready. So we are incredibly lucky to be able to deliver these programs through a mix of corporate sponsorship and philanthropy. And I'd just like to say thank you to Santander Universities for sponsoring this particular program. But if you in the audience or online are feeling particularly inspired by the pitches and the work that we do at the Enterprise Lab, please, I'd be very happy to discuss future funding opportunities. Please get in contact with me outside or get in touch via the eLab website. Once again, a big thank you and well done to all of the teams this evening. Delighted to have you all here, and I hope to see you soon at the Enterprise Lab. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Sarah. And that just leaves me to say thank you so much for joining us. Well done to all of the teams for pitching. And a reminder, if you want to find out more information about the Imperial Enterprise Lab or about any of the teams, you'll find them in the foyer where we currently have a networking session with both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. So do enjoy yourself. And thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.